He doubted you.
I took a lesson from the person who used to work at Price Chop, where I looked up and read the sign overhead.
Amazing.
Hi guys.
How are you? Speaker?
Good. Yes.
Hi, very pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you. How did you
Richard?
guys hear about the talk?
We were at another event. I saw your poster. It was a
Okay.
great catch-all, best lecture ever.
Okay. Thank you.
We were scheduled to do something else. We're going to do this and then go to...
Thank you for coming.
You're very welcome.
Really
Well, let me
appreciate
take a
it.
picture of all
Yeah.
of us. These are the Olavanos. This is my wife, Janet.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Hi. Hi.
Get in there where you got good light.
And you did set the bar pretty high. But
With the best lecture?
it's going to be...
Oh my God.
Who's
now
in it? Are you
now
in? You guys in it? Just you and me.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
You're the speaker?
Yes. Yes, sir. Nice to meet you.
Yep. You may want to have one of your people take one of these signs
Yeah.
and go out there,
Sure.
down that hallway. There's a thing that says Thursday. There's nothing up there anymore. There used to be.
Okay. Yeah.
You
Okay.
see way down there past those people?
Sure. Yeah.
But put one up on the Thursday thing.
Sounds good. Thank you.
See way down there past those people?
Sure. Yeah. Sounds good. Thank you.
Out there, it makes it.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, way down there, but it makes people, even those couple came, I said, no, you gotta come down here, you gotta exit the building, come in the room.
Okay, I got it.
Which is confusing, I mean, you stand there, you look like you're working next door.
If there's anything you need, let me know.
Thank you very
Otherwise,
much.
I'm just gonna be quiet.
Sounds good.
Right.
Thank you.
What about help or something?
What? Hug?
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
I'm gonna figure that out.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Good. Is someone at that door?
Yeah, Christian is down there.
to stay out there.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Necessary, I can just come.
Okay. Maybe, yeah, somewhere like in the
You expect his speech to go.
If you please fill the front seats, that would be fantastic. Thank you. Hello, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming. I just have a quick request.
Huh?
I'm very sensitive to noise.
I don't make any
no,
noise.
No, I know.
It's
yeah.
very noisy in here.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
I'm just trying to
saying-
find some stuff.
Okay. Thank you. So when I start, so feel free to take your time.
Yeah, I'm
Thank you very much.
quiet. It's
Thank you
just-
very much.
I can't believe how noisy it is.
Yeah, that'll quiet down. So when I start talking,
Okay.
thank you very much. All right. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you see me? Okay, great. I'm used to Zoom calls. Yeah, I guess my name is Faraz. I'm the CEO of Allied Scholars for Animal Protection, which is a nonprofit with chapters in about 30 universities. And just before I start, I want to say how much I appreciate you guys giving it 1 hour of your precious time and be here. So before I start, first I want to say there's going to be, good, bad, ugly. I'm going to make jokes. Feel free to laugh at jokes. But I will also show you things that are going to be a little uncomfortable to watch. But I think it's important for us to always push ourselves out of our comfort zone. And if you don't know, something about me is I'm introvert and I'm shy. And every time I stand in front of people and give lectures, a part of me dies. But I still do that. Like, I will try to have eye contact with you, but if I do, just know that I'm like dying a little bit. But I think that this topic that we're going to talk about is one of the most important things that we need to discuss today. Indeed, some of you might have seen the best lecture that you've ever heard. It's not because I'm the best public speaker, it's because the topic I'm going to talk about is the most important one. It's the most blind spot. It's the most important blind spot in today's society. The part of the talks might be recorded, and so after the talk, if you come to me and you want to share something that's sensitive, please let me know. The audio might be recorded, so I want to respect your privacy. So if there's something you want to share with me personally, just let me know. There will be food. The food is not scam. After the talk, we'll feed you, so don't worry. Another thing I want to mention, I have misophonia. How many of you know what misophonia is? Okay, so yeah, I'm like crazy sensitive to noises. So if you can and I have ADHD. So if you could just like put your phone on silent, and if you need to leave, I think one person told me that they have a class or two. Just know that I have to stop talking for 10 seconds, not 10 minutes, 10 seconds, and it's going to get very awkward. So just giving you a warning. All right, so let's get started. I want you to take a look at these three people, MLK, Gandhi, and Rosa Parks, and ask yourself, what is it about them that we really admire today? I also noticed that they don't look that happy to us. Because of my misophonia, I'm also hearing people laughing in the hallway, right? So that's usually what happiness has been defined to us. But for these people, they don't look that happy. But something that is really important is that I wasn't best buddies with them, but I think if I went to them and said, are you satisfied though? I think they would tell me that there is nothing else I'd rather do. I'd rather die than do anything else. You're in college, you're asking yourself, what is it that you want to do with your life? Is it just making more money? What is it? Whatever you end up doing, I hope that one day you're able to say, I'd rather die than do anything else. Another thing I want you to pay attention here is that this is Gandhi coming out of jail, and these are obviously jail photos. They talked about the most obvious thing to us, the most obvious issues. But to us today, it's obvious. But back then, it wasn't obvious. But notice that when you sometimes are blind spots, things that they care about at their time used to be blind spot. It's really easy to say I'm against racism and slavery and blah, blah, blah. Today, it's easy to say that, but back then, who would have had the courage to do the right thing? Sorry to break it to you, but most of us, if we were born 200 years ago, when slavery was legal and normal, and your friends and family and doctors and professors and everyone promoted slavery, how many of us truly would have had the courage to do the right thing when it wasn't comfortable, right? So I think today we like them because they pushed themselves out of their comfort zone. They didn't do something that was necessarily easy, but they did the right thing. So this lecture is going to be your chance to do that right thing today. And I want to investigate today's biggest blind spot. But before that, I'll tell you a lot about myself. So this is me, day one, look like a potato. And that's the last picture that I have with my mom. I'll tell you why it's the last picture. My mom is alive. I'm also alive, if you didn't know this. But I can't go back to Iran. My mom can't leave. So unless the regime, the dictator regime changes, that would be the last time I will see her. But there's also another thing about that picture that bothers me. That's the fact that my mom is actually not religious. And so in Iran, because of Sharia law, like women are forced to wear hijab. And if they refuse to just wear hijab, even if they're not Muslim, they can lose their head for it. And so just thinking about, I spent like maybe 22 years of my life in Iran. I still don't understand how difficult it must be if somebody forced you to cover your hair and your body every time that you're outside. So it makes me always feel a little uneasy to share this picture. So I attended college back in Tehran. And my bachelor was chemical engineering because I liked math and chemistry. So they told me do chemical engineering. And I said, OK, didn't really think about it much. I was working on petroleum because somebody said that that's easy, you can make a lot of money. But during my bachelor, there was this big oil spill in Gulf of Mexico, and when that happened, I saw the pictures of fish caught in oil and all the beaches ruined, and I was like, I want to do something better. I want to focus on biofuels. So I started getting really interested in environmental issues. Established the environmental society in my university, and that was definitely a cause I cared about. Then during my college, another thing I got myself into was clinic clowning. So as shy and introvert as I am, this is me, so I play music, and my friends told me, Faraz, they used to go to this hospital, cancer center for kids, and play theater for kids to make them momentarily happy. And I can't tell you how difficult it was when I went to these rooms with like tens of these mothers with their sick, terminally ill children, and it's really crazy to step in that vibe, and it feels like you have to like suck negativity and sorrow from this room and just bring a moment of joy to this kid's life. And oftentimes on my way back, I just used to cry. And we told ourselves we shouldn't really bond with these kids. But I'm a human, so it's just like next week you go and they're not there and you just don't know what happened. This sort of really changed how I wanted to think about my career. Again, I asked myself, is like clowning the best thing for cancer patients? Turns out no, and that's why I decided to do biomedical research. So I did my master's and doctorate in biomedical research, became a cancer researcher in Texas. And yeah, that's me. And then after my doctorate, I started working in biopharma, working on zoonotic diseases and pandemics. But I was still miserable. So if you know where I'm coming from, just making a life for myself and making about $400,000 per year plus stock options in biopharma, that was a very comfortable life, but I was still miserable. Every single morning I woke up and went to work. And I really just felt like after being vegan for 10 years at a time, like this protein deficiency is finally hitting me. I was like, this is like, I have brain fog and I can't think. It was just like turn out. Despite the fact that I liked biomedical research, it was just, my heart was somewhere else, which I'll tell you where. Going back to my bachelor at University of Tehran, University of Tehran is sort of like Iran's Harvard. It's like the best and oldest university there. And this is the sort of the gate, the symbol of the university. And you see lots of happy students here, mainly because it's a stock image. Thank you, that was a joke. But sometimes, including right now, it looks like this. In this particular day, there was a human rights protest. We were very peacefully protesting, and this side was the students. And the gate was locked, and this side you had all the paramilitary forces, which Iran has a lot of. I want to tell you about this. As we were peacefully protesting, this random guy from the other side of the gate, just a pedestrian, just walked by and showed us a peace sign. That's all he did. Didn't say a single word. And then paramilitary forces attacked him and started beating him with baton in the head. I don't really have a way to describe to you what it feels like when you see like a human being being just beaten up in front of you. It's like, it's not really like a fist fight that somebody just gets, bruises. Like this guy is just screaming and is just gonna die. And I really hope that something like this never happens to you, and you never have to like observe something like that. And the point that you're powerless, right? Because we were trapped on the other side of the gate, and someone is screaming in front of you, and you can't do anything about it. Horrible. And as I thought that things can't get any worse, these paramilitary forces actually broke the gate. There is a gate here, like that. And then they broke it and started like attacking students. At this point, I heard that the gate is broken, so I was like running away. I looked outside and I saw vans, and they were like literally kidnapping students. And we knew about that, so I was like, all right, I can leave. So I tried to run into my engineering department. At the corner, I saw a group of people appeared in front of me. And I couldn't tell whether they were students or paramilitary forces because I was also tear gassed. And I don't know if you've been tear gassed, you can't see. And it was until one of them raised his hand with a machete and said, "Motherfucker, wait." And that was the best motherfucker I've ever heard in my life. That was like my cue that, obviously I froze for 3 seconds, which felt like forever. And then I started running literally just for my life. And thankfully there was like a security gate, security kiosk that they let me in. But that's really just as close as I came to getting killed, because like with machete, it's not a baton. It's not like you don't get bruises, you get a giant cut and potentially die. And just to make everything more complicated, I'm also gay, and homosexuality is also punishable by death in my home country. And it's not also just keeping it a secret. It's like the depth of oppression is to a point where, for the most part of my life, I always question what is wrong with me. Like, am I sick? Am I like, why do I feel so different from everyone else? But you can't talk about it, right? Because you lose your life. And so you never know that there are other people, and the internet is filtered, so you can look it up, and you just live your life thinking that there is something fundamentally wrong with you. And your natural reaction would be trying to actually like fight yourself, and that's the worst. I would really rather wish I knew and I just kept it a secret, but just trying to fight yourself, hardest thing ever. So when I finally came to the US, I know you're wondering about the parrots. When I finally came to the US, this is the cancer institute I was working in, and in my first year, I finally made peace with myself, and the first person I came out to was this other graduate student in the lab, and I went to him and I said, "Hey Ash, I'm gay," and he says, "Well, duh." And I said, "God damn it, how could you tell?" He says, "Just look at what you're wearing. I bet you can find a parrot that matches your clothes every single day." And we were scientists, so we had to test the hypothesis. And so we actually found a parrot that matched my style every single day. But after this, I I was like, oh wow, I can actually talk about who I am without getting killed. How fantastic. After a while, I found the courage to actually tell my mom. And so one day I was in a very good mood. And so I called her. She's in Iran, right? So I was like, "Mom, sit down. And, I'm gay." And she's like, "Well, I knew, but thanks for telling me." I was like, "God damn it, I was like expecting drama. It was like, recording you putting, I was like, no, this was like, thanks for trusting me. And so I think like she's a very wonderful person. And funny enough, every guy I ever dated was a white American, and they had a harder time coming out to their family. Like my first boyfriend, like I think his family said, "We can't love you anymore since you're gay." I was like, who says that? Like, even if you feel that way, I don't understand how you would say that to your kid. But in any case, it's funny how my mom was just so ahead of the society in Iran. But right now, she's in Tehran, and this picture is from Tehran, and I'm sure that you've seen a lot about Iran in the news. And yeah, 2 days ago, she called me. It lasted for a minute, and then the call got dropped. The internet was already cut off, but now they also cut off the phones. And so I haven't heard from her, and it's not just protests, it's just bombardment. So as I'm talking to you, I don't know whether she's alive. And for the past 2 days, I haven't heard from her. But I want to bring attention to another topic that really just changed my life. Going back to my childhood, I had this animal. His name was Happy. Happy was actually the first English word that I learned. Happy grew up to become this loud rooster, and so neighbors complained, and we had to give him to my grandma. So I loved to go to her house, and every time I opened the door, Happy jumped at me, and we cuddled, and he was literally just my best friend at the time. And poor grandma, she always thought that I was excited to see her. I was there for Happy, and every time I opened the door, he just literally just jumped at me, and we cuddled. And one day I go there and I open the door and there's no sign of Happy. And I said, you know, what happened? And I was worried. And she says, sorry for us, the door was left open and he ran away. And, you know, I was crying. And most importantly, it was like, he loved me so much. Why would he run away? And I have to live with that thought for like years. Until like 10 years later, after my grandma was already dead, my mom accidentally said that the chicken soup we had that night. And I had a very hard time forgiving my grandma because I thought that she betrayed me, she lied to me, killed my best friend, even fed him to me. But I think the hardest part was when I had this realization that that day I actually knew I had chicken soup. I remember the goddamn bones in that soup. It just didn't bother me because I didn't think it was Happy. About 15 years ago, I lived in Germany for a while, and one of my friends, the daughter of my piano teacher, who happened to live in the same city, Aachen in Germany, I was trying to rescue animals, and I went to get her help, and she refused. And Iranians, if you know Iranians, we're very nice. We die inside when we say no. We never say no. And when I asked for her help, she literally refused. And I was butthurt, and I didn't like her for 3 months. And she basically said that, Froz, you're a hypocrite. You say that you love animals, you try to rescue them, but you literally eat them. And that really hit me. And that's the time where I started questioning a bunch of things. I had never considered these questions. I cared about justice, I cared about many causes, environment, and I think when you're in college, I think that's the first time in your life when you're trying to be exposed to different, I don't know any 10-year-old who's like into social justice, right? It's like in college when you were like, all right, there's this cause, or my friends are protesting this and that. And you have your entire career ahead of you, and you're questioning, what is it that I want to do with my life? What is it that's finally going to satisfy you? What is it that is going to make the world a better place? I always ask these questions, except animals were never even on my radar. And I have one job today, and that's to put animals on your radar and say why this is yet another cause that you should care about. I care about racism and slavery and all these other causes. But then it occurred to me, is slavery unique to humans? Is it possible to enslave and oppress and rape and torture other animals? If we say, I always called myself animal lover, but like, what did I mean by loving animals? Did I just mean that I love cute and fuzzy ones, the ones that I have personal relationship with? Or did I think that animals deserve to be respected? And, disclaimer, I grew up eating meat, eggs, dairy. I didn't give up animal products because I stopped liking the taste of meat. Like bacon used to be my favorite food. In Iran, bacon is actually illegal. But my mom knew a Christian. Christians are allowed to have bacon. And so she used to smuggle bacon home. And not only I loved the taste, but also it was very festive for us. I didn't stop eating bacon because I stopped liking the taste. It was that I started to think about the individual behind it. And then the real question becomes, like I talk to people who are like, oh, I just love meat. And I was like, so did I, right? But do we think that taste, pleasure, convenience, tradition, culture, do we think that these are good reasons to exploit animals? Is it possible that these animals, what we are doing to them, is today's blind spot? And then, of course, just like you, I thought that maybe factory farms are bad. Maybe there are better ways. But then I asked myself, if we have a way of living, which I didn't know, by the way. I didn't know there is a way of living without animal products because as a kid I was told I need to eat this stuff to be healthy. But when you learn that, then is there really a true humane and kind way to exploit? Can you humanely and kindly enslave someone? Can you kindly and humanely exploit someone? It's not really, when you think about the slavery, the idea is not that it physically harms people. That's not the idea. If I wanted to stand against slavery, a good solution would not be, let's just give slaves more space. Let's give them better foods and treat them a little better, because the whole idea is wrong. The whole idea of looking at other individuals, other sentient beings as slaves, and take away their bodily autonomy, and I decide what you do. But then you realize that's exactly what we are doing to members of other species. And indeed, I got familiarized with this term speciesism, which is analogous to racism and sexism. It just means discriminating against members of other species. And again, I ask you, understand that slavery at its time was a blind spot. It's really easy today to say, oh, slavery was bad, but 200 years ago, my friends, if you said slavery is wrong, people would have mocked you. They're like, you're crazy, you're extreme, you're militant, right? You're trying to push your beliefs on us, all that stuff. We've been doing it for thousands of years. Remember, people actually literally use Bible to justify that. It doesn't mean Bible is bad. It just means that people are greedy and selfish. They want to do bad things. We always find an excuse to do that. So once my friend pointed out my hypocrisy, and by the way, good friends amongst you are the ones that hold others accountable, not the friends who are fake to you. And that's why I don't want to be fake. And the whole point of this conversation is not for me to make you feel better about yourself. It's to really just point out this hypocrisy. And when my friends pointed out my hypocrisy, I realized that I cared about this. This really broke my heart. When I was in Germany, I had just discovered bratwurst. And I remember I said, sorry, animals just love bratwurst so much. It's like 1 second of you dying, but it's like, I just love meat so much. I'm not proud of who I was. If I have one regret in my life, I've made plenty of mistakes. But if you don't know, then you can't blame yourself. The only regret I have is that 3 months that I knew and I still did the wrong thing. I cared about hanging people for who they are. I didn't like that, but I was happily eating chickens and paid someone else to hang chickens upside down. And it talked about all these human rights issues that I cared about. My blind spot was dairy. I'm literally the same person. My values have not changed. But what changed is that I didn't know that there is no industry in the world that is as abusive as dairy is to females of other species. The entire dairy industry is fundamentally based on exploiting the reproductive system of cows and eventually killing them. And if you're wondering what's happening in this picture, this is standard practice happening also in small farms. This is artificial insemination. In humans, we have another word for it. We call it rape. And things I never really thought about, cows are not milking machines. It's crazy. Until I was 22 years old, I just thought there are cows and they always produce milk. No, there are like mammals just like us. Only females produce milk. If I just put it in human perspective, it would have been something like if somebody wanted my mom's milk and they raped her, and when she gave birth, if it was a male like me, I don't produce breast milk, I would have been killed or sold for veal in case of dairy. Her milk would have been pumped so people can eat cheese and ice cream. She would be pumped so much until she goes dry, then she would get raped again. And this process is happening 6 or 7 times to cows. 7 times. Imagine separating your babies 7 times. And eventually, the second you are not profitable, you generally just collapse or you're sold for your meat at that point. And I didn't know that. I actually was in Harvard, and one of the students didn't believe me that only female cows produce milk. And he was like, I want to fact check you. I was like, let's do it. And then he literally pulled out his phone and just looked at it, and it was like, the fact that we don't even think about this, that's crazy. Another thing I didn't know is for eggs, because I actually became vegetarian. That's probably one of my big mistakes, because I just didn't know about eggs and dairy. In egg production, male chickens, again, they don't lay eggs. So when in hatcheries, male chickens are not useful. So they're all killed. They go to grinder directly or they're buried in alive. In Iran, when I did my investigations there, they literally dig a hole and they literally just bury them alive because male chickens are not profitable for egg. And so every time you see an egg, you have to realize male chickens had to be killed, and the hen who laid that egg is also killed, because The second you look at chickens as egg-laying machines or vending machines, the second they're not profitable are killed. But why do we not learn about this? It's not an accident, and I can't blame you. I didn't know this either. It's not an accident that we don't learn about this. The reason is in the US, ag-gag laws. Ag for agriculture, gag for gagging. How many of you know what ag-gag laws are? One person, two, three. The third is working for ASAP, so they've seen this presentation 50 times. So ag-gag laws in the US prevent people from showing the truth of what happens behind the doors to public. It is easy indeed to have bacon because you don't have to listen to the screaming of the pigs. When they go to gas chambers indeed, you don't have to listen to that. If it was happening in front of you, you would feel differently. You would choose differently. And there is a saying that if slaughterhouses had glass walls, everyone would be vegan, right? So to show you what this is that animal industry is not showing you, this is one of the uncomfortable parts. There is no audio, it's just music, but I want you to please look at it. I will watch it with you. And when you do that, please empathize. I think empathy is one of our best qualities as human beings. That's what connects us. I'm not you, but if you ever suffer, I will empathize with you because I don't need to be you to feel like how to understand what you are feeling, right? For this 3 minutes, please don't get up and leave because it will distract other people. If you can't, just look away, but I encourage you not to because if it's not good for your eyes, it's not good for your stomach. What are we doing? Could it be that this is today's blind spot? Could it be that this is modern day slavery? Could it be that this is modern Holocaust? Perhaps the longest lasting Holocaust ever that still continues? I don't need to convince you that this is bad. You already know that. Is this that is happening every goddamn second of every single day? Does this really reflect a society that promotes kindness and compassion and justice and liberty and freedom? Is that us? Does this align with your values? And if not, I don't think I need to convince you on that. But what I need to do is to point out the urgency of it. The reason that I have the audacity to stand in front of you, talk to you about this, when I haven't heard from my mom for 2 days, it's not because I don't care about other causes, it's because I know that that gets enough news attention. 3 trillion animals die every single year. We kill more of these individual sentient beings every 2 weeks than all people ever existed on Earth. Show me something. Show me anything. I've been looking for it. Show me anything that causes more death and pain and suffering and exploitation and is as neglected as this. I will shut up. I will go focus on that. But statistically, logically, rationally, mathematically, ethically, however you look at this, this is today's biggest blind spot. And we all talk about justice, and I know that we mean it. I don't think that we are just talking. I think we actually mean it. But to me, once you learn about this, if you proactively and intentionally and ignorantly pay for this to continue, but yet still you tell me about the fact that you care about Iran or any other country or any other form of injustice, I'm sorry, I can't believe that. Because tell me with your actions, not with your words. I call it the biggest blind spot, the most neglected form of oppression. I'm a pilot and I love flying. It's one of the few things that gives me pure joy. But now even that is miserable. So I took this picture from Austin to Chicago. And I'm in this flying tube with another 200 people. And we are all looking at the same thing. They don't even know what they're looking at. But my eyes have been trained to look for this. That's the same picture, I just zoomed in. I know, next time when you're flying, just look down, you will see them. In this one picture, in this just one view, each one of these buildings contain like hundreds of thousands of individuals being enslaved to death. In this one picture alone, millions of individuals. Just a few weeks ago, in the US alone, Americans paid for about 800 million chickens to die so that we could have 1.5 billion, so that we can have 1.5 billion chicken wings. We didn't eat chicken wings because we had to, because we needed to. We did that because it was Super Bowl. And get this, replace chickens in those buildings with dogs, there would be riots everywhere. We will not allow that, right? So what is up with this cognitive dissonance? And once you open your eyes, this beautiful country, we've literally just turned it into one giant slaughterhouse. This is not the map of animal farms. This is the map of just slaughterhouses alone. And to be 100% honest with you, perhaps one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had, most liberating experiences, was when I finally came out in the US. I've never felt anything like that. It felt like I've been swimming with like bags of stone attached to my body, and I finally let them go. If you haven't experienced it, you wouldn't know how liberating it is. And for a while, I thought that this is the best country in the world, and I still do think that. It's one of the best countries in the world. Until when I became vegan. Then even this country turned to one giant slaughterhouse. When I tell you that show me something that causes more death, and this is not even exploitation and suffering calculator, this is just kill calculator. So I want you to understand the scale I'm talking about. However, we weren't always like that. The only reason I have hope is that when we were kids, before we become indoctrinated to ignore animal suffering, we actually did care about it. So I want to show you this. A couple of kids, for the first time, they actually learned that the animals are eating, the food they are eating is like dead animals, basically. And that's a reaction. But most importantly, I want you to pay attention to what the parents are saying.
What do you think? So what will you eat instead?
I will eat whatever there's on the table that's not chicken or meat.
Why do you think you don't want to do that?
Because they're animals and I like animals.
So what will we do if we miss eating chicken and meat?
I don't miss eating chicken and meat.
How about fish?
Fish?
Yeah.
Fish? Is it an animal?
Yeah.
I won't eat that either.
Oh my God. So what?
I won't eat animals.
Okay. Why do you feel sorry for animals?
Because they're nice, and I know that we cook them sometimes, which is not very nice.
Yeah. Do you think they suffer?
I think that they don't really like being cooked in the oven. I don't like when people eat animals. I just don't want them to chop them.
You don't want them to be chopped up. But they taste very good.
They taste very good.
I don't like horses.
You don't eat horses. You only eat turkeys
Why?
and chicken and pigs and cows.
Speciesism.
Chicks are nice and cows are nice.
So we should eat them, should we not?
No, don't feed them all up.
Farmers.
Why?
It's their job. It's how they make a living. It's how they make money.
Farmers need to make money.
It tastes good. And they have protein and they're good for you.
They taste good, they have protein, they're good for you.
Quality.
And I won't make you eat the food because I don't want to argue with you.
Would you like if someone ate you?
No, I wouldn't.
Well, then why should I eat this poor harmless animal?
Okay, but do you understand what I'm saying? We didn't kill this animal. It's good for your body. Jesus created animals for us to eat. Baby, do you understand? I just want you to be healthy. It's food, baby. I'm not hurting you. It's food.
Well, you're hurting the animal.
I did not hurt the animals. Good girl. Alana, eat it, chew it, and drink your water. Quick, quick.
Yeah, so, I actually don't like kids. But the only reason I show you is like not emotional manipulation. I'm trying to show you that as kids, we actually care. I didn't want to eat meat. People around me said that I needed meat to be healthy, and by the time that I was your age, I was so addicted to eating meat. That was a habit, and I couldn't give it up. But also, you see that you don't need an hour lecture to understand that animals deserve. Like when you were kids, you understood that. And now I talk to people and they're like, what about fish? was like, God damn it. So it's like if a 6-year-old understands fish are animals. That's as simple as it gets. Like fish, still animals, central nervous system, they feel pain. If you have a way of living without killing fish, why not? And you notice that kids don't want to do that, and then parents are saying all these things, and now, like what happened to us? That we went from that, and now when I ask people to think about animals and respect them and not eat them and not exploit them, they say like, but it tastes good, and Jesus put animals here for us to eat, and farmers need to make money. Like kids don't make these excuses. And it makes me think, did we come up with this, or did we just hear it from parents and we're just like repeating them? If you actually try to hurt animals in front of kids, that's what they actually do. Amongst all of it, that this little one, the last part really just hits me hard, because I feel like I wish I was there when my grandma was doing that to Happy. But just the kid's gesture when he almost like rescues the rooster and says like, you know, go little guy, you know, you're free. I really wish I was there when this was happening to Happy. And the truth is, if you guys were kids and I showed you this would have been enough for you to stop eating animals. But do we get weaker as we grow up? Because a kid would just do the right thing, but now we live and we have all these excuses, which I hope you don't. Why is it so easy to eat animal products? Not our fault. The cruelty is hidden from us, ag-gag laws, what I just showed you. Not only that, on top of that, we are always being lied to. Don't take it from me. Just go to any grocery stores. Next time you go, grab any package of milk and take a look at the marketing on it. It's always a happy animal, always a happy animal. Who are we kidding? Do you actually think that dairy cows are happy after what I just explained to you that happens to dairy farms? Do you think any animal is happy in slaughterhouses? Of course not. Cheese. That's why vegetarians don't go vegan. And that's because of years of marketing. That I actually, most people are lactose intolerant, by the way, if you didn't know, about 80% of people, actually most people of color. And as a kid, despite the fact that I didn't like milk, I would just drink it like this because I thought that was like good for me. And that's the only source of calcium. Because that's years of marketing, gut milk campaign, and paying actors to push this idea on us. But I want to show you a footage from Fairlife, which is one of the major dairy producers in the US. This is not the first investigation. This happens every single year, and this is a recent investigation.
2019.
I'm Tim Goldman of the Fairlife. Animal care is foundational to Fairlife.
Newborn calves are chained and violently dragged away from their mothers at birth, simply for Fairlife and Coca-Cola to profit from the mother's milk.
This whole company, from the very beginning, has been built on great animal welfare, sustainable practices.
But think about it, Fairlife. What an amazing marketing, fair and life. And I love colors, maybe because I'm gay, but like I'm just literally always like, I see the marketing, I just want to go grab it. Like if I didn't know the cruelty behind it. And every single time I see one of the students who goes for this Fairlife and drinks it, I don't think they're bad people. I just think that they, just like us, never had the opportunity to understand what they're actually grabbing.
Convince you that milk was good. The dairy industry tried for 20 years to convince you that milk was good for you. It's a lie, but they tried anyway. And the sales were going like this. And then they tried Got Milk, and the sales have gone like this. Got Milk doesn't even talk about the product. Matter of fact, it focuses on the absence of the product.
Sometimes I just feel like dairy industry has turned us to zombies that we can't even think ethically anymore because I say, this is what happens to dairy cows, and someone says, jeez, like, what is happening to us? He said it's actually not good for us, it's a lie. He wasn't a doctor, but he's not wrong. Actually, dairy in India and in the US is the #1 source of saturated fat in our diet. Saturated fat in your blood turns to LDL, the bad cholesterol, which is causation, not highly correlated, causation for what disease? What disease? Heart disease. Heart disease is #1 cause of death. And when I was working on cancer, I was like, if I actually want to save most number of people, wouldn't it make sense to stop #1 cause of death in humans? Heart disease, almost entirely preventable. And every time you have heart disease, you go to your cardiologist, whether they're vegan or not, they will look at your blood lipids and cholesterol, right? And then you have cancer and you have diabetes. These are top causes of death, highly correlated with animal consumption. Indeed, this is not a vegan org, this is World Health Organization. And you probably didn't know because when you open Twitter and TikTok, you probably see social media influencers instead of World Health Organization. People talk about meat is a good source of protein, which it is, but it's also a good source of carcinogens. Literally, processed meat, group 1, red meat, group 2A carcinogen. I challenge you, find me one cancer institute in the world that says, please eat more meat. They actually say if you want to reduce the risk of cancer, this is American Institute for Cancer Research. If you want to reduce the risk, eat more fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, and legumes. Avoid alcohol and sugary drink, which please do even if you're vegan, and also red meat. But the problem is not just red meat, any kind of meat, even fish and chicken, when you cook them in high temperatures, you increase their carcinogenicity. But I don't even have to convince you. If I had a grain of doubt that being on a plant-based diet is not good for you, I had no point to make. It turns out not only if you do it right, not only it's good for you, but it's good for the society. This is American position of Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. This is the largest Academy of Nutritionists in the world, and it's not a vegan organization. They put up this position paper every couple of years. It reads, appropriately planned vegetarian or vegan diets. Appropriately planned, obviously, because you can be vegan and eat French fries and Oreos. No one's talking about that. Yeah. If you plan it right, then it can be healthful, nutritionally adequate, and may provide health benefits. They are appropriate for all stages of life, including pregnancy, lactation, infancy, childhood, adolescence, older adults, and for athletes. On top of that, they are environmentally more sustainable, and they can prevent and reduce the risk of certain health conditions, including not some random diseases, top causes of death, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, certain types of cancer, and obesity, because of low intake of saturated fat and high intake of fiber. And I know that when I talk about plant-based diets, someone always asks about protein And we talk about like complete protein. Have you heard of that? Can someone like define complete protein? What is complete protein when you hear that?
Has all the essential amino acids, probably 13.
All the essential amino acids?
Yeah.
So if it's not complete, does it mean it doesn't have some amino acids? Yeah. How many amino acids are out there? 20, yeah. You know it, don't doubt yourself. 9 are essential, right? So it turns out soy is a complete protein anyways. But even complete protein, when something is not complete, it doesn't mean that it lacks any amino acid. It just means that the ratios are different. So I know it's small, so I'll tell you what this is. Every color is a different amino acid. And on top you have essential amino acids and non-essential. There are 20 of them. These are animal foods and these are plant-based foods. The only thing that is different is the ratios. And as you can see, everything has all 20. The only way that you wouldn't get enough amino acids and proteins is like if you just ate rice. If your diet was, if you were on a rice-only diet, but no one does that, right? Like, think about how stupid it is. When I tell people about plant-based diet, their first worry is protein, but it's like, when was the last time you went to a doctor office or emergency room and they're bringing someone, they're doing CPR and they're like, what happened? Oh, just didn't get enough protein. Doesn't happen. The #1 cause of death is heart disease. And of course, there are athletes. This is Chris Paul. She's an Olympic athlete, medalist. He's the strongest man in Germany in 2011. So obviously, we can be a high-performing athlete on a plant-based diet. But I want to actually show you one of my favorite studies from Harvard, not TikTok. They looked at 130,000 people, followed them up for 30 years. And what they found is they also adjusted for smoking, BMI, physical activity, and even alcohol consumption, even socioeconomic factors. What they found is that when you replace any kind of animal-based protein with plant-based protein, you reduce the risk of all-cause mortality, cardiovascular disease, and cancer. So this is a forest plot. Here means reduction in your risk when animal-based protein was replaced with plant-based protein. Not just processed meat. Look at it. Processed red meat, unprocessed red meat, poultry, fish, egg, and dairy. No matter what, if you replace that with plant-based protein from legumes and soy and nuts and seeds, or all plants really just have proteins. If you replace that with the equivalent of plant-based food, you reduce the risk of all this stuff, including cancer. If we care about humans, it's easy to be emotional about what's happening in Iran, but more people die from issues like antibiotic resistance and pandemics and zoonotic diseases, and we don't think that these global issues are linked to our food system and animal agriculture. How so? 80% of antibiotics that we produce globally, and in the US, 70 to 80%, is fed to farmed animals, not to people, which leads to antibiotic resistance. In factory farms and animal farms, when you have lots of animals, then you have these lagoons. There are lakes full of cow shit and antibiotics and hormones, and they leak to water, they contaminate the water. And usually people who live around these neighborhoods are people with lower socioeconomic class, and they are the first people who are exposed to the shit that comes from these places. If you care about the environment, we care about children all the time. One thing we don't understand is that global malnutrition and children suffering from hunger is linked to animal agriculture. I didn't give you a lot of statistics, but I give you one. This is the entire agricultural land available on Earth. We take that, 80% of that is not to feed people directly, it's for meat and dairy production. You're like, okay, great. So it's either raising animals directly or growing food for those animals. Like most of soy, for instance, is not to feed me or a few vegans in this room, it's actually for farm animals. And then you hope that if you take 80% of all agricultural land, it better feed most people. But no, it only produces 18% of global calories. The reason is because when you feed soy, for instance, to cows and then you eat the cow, lots of energy is wasted. I think we understand that. Grass-fed, organic, those small farms that you always wish to exist, they actually have worse environmental impact. That's why they're not sustainable. In terms of eutrophication, land use, and greenhouse gases, they're actually worse, obviously because you're taking more land, using more resources to produce less food, but hopefully you understand that animals are not food. You may think that ideally, sometimes you drive around and you see farms like this. I've gone to farms like that, and I want to show you one. It's not graphic or anything. But I want you to see what happens in these farms. This is the farm I'm going to show you. I literally had to risk my life because if I got caught, I don't want to tell you what happens, but this is one of the local farms in Texas.
I always wanted to pet like one of these calves. Could you show me one of these calves? Oh, okay. Thanks so much. Okay. I hope it's not a bother. No. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm recording with my phone in my pocket.
They're from today? Like they were born today?
Yes, they're born today.
So they separate them from day one?
Day one.
So these are all female, right?
Yeah, all female.
What happens to the male ones? I'm talking about men, bulls.
No, the bulls.
Yeah, what happens to
They're
them?
all right away.
So it's slaughterhouse?
Their company is coming
Uh-huh.
and take it.
Okay. Do they raise them for meat or just feel like meat?
That the company do. $800.
That guy?
Who?
Bulls?
One.
$800.
Yes. Yeah, there's a company come they come Monday.
So he's giving me the slaughterhouse basically schedule. And as you can see, this is a small farms, male calves, basic biology, they're not useful for dairy. So even if it's Uncle Joe that you know, and by the way, most of food always comes from factory farms, or somehow anytime I talk to people, they get their food from backyard chickens somehow. I don't know how that works. But you see that these are standard practices anywhere. Please don't fall for certified humane, grass-fed, organic. This is cage-free. Cage-free doesn't mean cruelty-free. Even if it's pasture-raised, how nice. And then you envision this beautiful farm with chickens, walking around. What happened to male chickens? This Uncle Joe, if he's selling you eggs, what happens when these chickens no longer produce eggs? What happens to male chickens? You get the idea. This is the last video I'll show you. As a guy, it hurts more, but I want you to see this is not undercover investigation. These are small farms. Farmers putting these videos proudly showing people. This is not something people trying to keep hidden from you. This is like they proudly put this on YouTube. You can go and watch it for yourself.
Enjoy doing it, but it is very much a necessity on the farm.
The reason why we cash trade, one, typically they bring more money in the market, and two, they say it makes the meat more tender.
Now, there's a lot of controversy on whether or not farmers should be using anesthesia. A lot of farmers in the U.S. do not do this because there's really no prescribed anesthesia or pain medication in the U.S. for cattle. That one had some bouncy balls.
It's probably the worst job on the farm. I don't ever look forward to doing it. It's the only thing that gives me a physical sick feeling having to do it. I don't enjoy it, but that is part of it.
We like to do it the most humane way.
You're going to raise pigs, you're going to raise animals. That's the kind of stuff that you just got to do.
But that's the point. We don't have to do that. It only happens because we want to have bacon and egg. I was actually trying to get coffee in one of your coffee shops. Literally every student came and got bacon. And I was trying to, just keep my hope up for humanity that these are good people. They just never thought about it because most of us don't. But the good news is it cannot get easier in today's world to be vegan than ever. I've been vegan for 15 years. 15 years ago, none of the things I'm going to show you really existed, except I guess Oreos. But when you go to grocery stores, look at this. This is dairy, shows you Happy Cow. And right here you have Fairlife, with their great marketing, literally anything else is plant-based. Like you get almond and rice and coconut and oat milk and soy milk. No one has to go and to like separate baby almonds from their mom and like squeeze their teeth to get milk. Oreos, not a health food. I'm not saying that eat a lot of Oreos, but people are shocked to learn that Oreos are vegan. They're so synthetic, they're vegan. Let me just say that. People say they don't like vegan food. I'm like French fries and onion rings and guacamole and pico de gallo. They say it's expensive. Well, just you don't change your lifestyle. You literally go to Chipotle, you get the same food as always, get the brown rice and grilled veggies and beans and pico de gallo and guacamole and the sauces and the corn and lettuce. All you have to do is to replace the beef with sofritos or the soy-based thing that they have. Becomes cheaper and healthier, by the way. Lasagna was my favorite food. I still have lasagna. I'm lazy. I don't like cooking. I'm terrible at it. I take my self-confidence in chemistry and apply it in cooking. It just doesn't work. But you know, Amy products are mostly vegan. Pasta and peanut butter and even fish, ice cream. You probably didn't know Ben & Jerry's. All you have to do when you go vegan is just go and spend 1 calorie and turn this shit around. Buy the one that says non-dairy. That's all you have to do to not pay for the biggest industry that exploits females of other species. If you're dying from protein deficiency, Cliff Bars and Luna Bars and this Thanksgiving, instead of paying for 60 million turkeys to be murdered so that we can have, I don't know, ass bread, I guess, and be thankful somehow, instead of doing that, just buy tofurkey and cause some massive family drama. It's worth it. It's worth it. People say ultra-processed meat is not good. Bro, it's not meant for being healthy. It's meant for, if you are going for burger, you already decided you are not eating healthy tonight. It's just meant for you to replace that red meat burger with one of these, Impossible and Beyond. And actually, Burger King now has even Impossible Burger. There is a study, however, it's called SWAP study, that if you replace Beyond red meat burger with Beyond, it actually will have better health outcomes. There are sausages, of course. You can still do barbecue, whether you're religious, atheist, Christian, Muslim, left or right or liberal, doesn't matter. You don't have to change your identity when you go vegan. You just stop paying for the biggest industry that exploits animals today. That's all you do. There's vegan sushi, Doritos and Takis, chocolate, cheese, and even protein powder, and there's even vegan egg that you can get. But I want to wrap it up by saying, can you actually make a difference? Because a lot of people say, but if I go vegan, is this going to stop? Well, of course not. But first, it's a supply and demand. Every single time you pay for meat, eggs, dairy, you pay for this industry to kill and exploit more animals. Every single time you choose the vegan option, you actually become a solution immediately. But the biggest take-home message from this talk, I hope, is don't think about veganism as a diet. I'm not asking you to reduce your calorie or just go gluten-free. Think about this as a matter of injustice. And if you think about it that way, if you and I stop being racist or not be racist, racism in the world is not going to end, right? As long as people exist, people will do bad things. But it's on us to do the right thing. We can't use other people's bad behavior to justify ours. So of course, you can make a difference. And if you haven't noticed, I'm not giving this speech on the street to random people. I'm giving it in universities because you guys are going to become the next generation of doctors and lawyers and thought leaders. So I hope that you can think about this and you apply it to your careers and use everything you have to defend animals. Remember that no other form of injustice ended because everyone made the right choice. In the US, in terms of slavery, we literally had to go to war because the other side would not stop it, right? But today we like it because a small group of people, a small group of thoughtful and dedicated individuals did the right thing. That's how social reforms happen, not because everyone is doing it. And I hope that you are that small group of people. People say it's hard. Sure, I'm not asking you to go vegan because it's easy. I ask you to do it because it's the right thing to do. The right thing to do rarely is the easiest choice. Think about MLK and Gandhi and Rosa Parks. What they did was not easy. We respect them because they did the hard thing, but the right thing. And every single time you think of, veganism as, when you think it's hard, it's just because you're thinking about yourself. Your choices have victims when it comes to animal consumption. The second that you think about the victims, it becomes the easiest choice ever. I get it, I love cheese, right? But the second when I see a little cheese or a little milk, I remember what I just showed you. It stops being food. Veganism is not really about dietary choices. It's about finally, once in your life, undoing years of conditioning and not viewing animals as commodities, as resources, as objects. Another thing people say, lions though. Why is it okay for lions to do that, right? And I get it. On the surface, it sounds like a smart excuse. But is it though? Because we don't base our morality on what lions do. Because lions also rape each other and then eat each other's baby. Imagine if I raped someone and went to court and I said, Your Honor, but lions. I was like, oh, okay, in that case, very good argument. In that case, please go ahead. We're not having conversations with lions. They have to do it. They don't have a moral compass, but you and I do. Indeed, I tell you this, inside each of us, there's this part that's selfish and greedy, and it's just like the prick side of us. And then we also have this side who's kind and compassionate and loving and strong, with strong willpower. We all have both. I think when you go, every decision that you make, sometimes there is a conflict. Those 3 months that I took to finally go vegetarian, it was making me, the idea of eating animals progressively made me more and more uncomfortable. Until once my friend held a fork with chickens on it, and I looked at it for a good, 30 seconds, and I was like, no, thanks, I'm vegetarian. And I feel like, that's the part that good part of me won. We all have that. The real question is, when are you gonna awaken that good part of you? And the last excuse is that people say you're right, I'm just gonna take baby steps. Baby steps are for babies. You guys are not babies. I treat it like any other form of injustice. If I was beating a dog and you were like, all right, you should stop it, and I said, fine, I'm gonna stop, take baby steps. Next year by now, it's next year's resolution. Next year on January, I'm gonna stop beating this. They're like, are you crazy? It's like beatless Monday. So no beating on this. It's like meatless Monday. Or it's laughable. When you offer this sort of wishy-washy, half-assed things in talking about forms of injustice, it becomes laughable for us and extremely offensive for the victims. Because if I was racist to you and you're like, Faraz, that wasn't cool. And I said, wow, I'm doing so much better than, I used to be so much worse. I'm like 99% there. And we're like, no, that's not good enough, because you're the victim and you realize it's not a gray zone. Every single time you make a racist comment, it makes you racist, right? So what would that mean in terms of justice for animals? And what can you do? This is the freest country. 90% of things that I said, I would have been killed if it was under the dictator regime of Iran. Use this liberty, use your voice, use your career, everything in your power. If you don't know how to use it, come to me, we'll talk about it. But always keep these people in mind. The last thing I say, these people were not like superhumans. They were people just like you and me. They also had that selfish, greedy part. But I think they really focus on the good part, the leadership part, the part that didn't care about what the society was dictating at their time. They still did the right thing. You have that in you. And before coming to this talk, frankly, maybe you had an excuse. Maybe you hadn't thought about all these questions. But now, you don't have any excuse. So what is it going to be? If you've seen what I've seen, you'd be just like me. I'm a prisoner of what I know. I'm a victim of what I've seen. I can't change, I won't change, I will never change. I'm only going to become worse. Because if you've seen what I've seen, you just can't shut up about it. So open your eyes, use everything in your power, be courageous, be unstoppable, get active. Being vegan is not enough. It's not the goal. It's literally the first step. It's just not exploiting animals. That's what it means. 200 years ago, it would not have been enough to just say, I'm not going to have slaves, but you go, please go ahead. I'm not going to, I'm so afraid of being called judgmental. You please do what you do. No, you hope you'd be the person who does the right thing. Do this thought experiment with yourself. Transport yourself 200 years ago. You could be one of these three people. Group one, which would have been most of us, would just go with the flow. Group two just acknowledges that we have a problem. I think 99% of you probably acknowledge already there is a problem here, right? But those thoughts are not going to change the world. It's the action. The third group that MLK, Gandhi, those are the third group who actually did something about it. So if you're vegan, please get active. And if there's anything I can do for you, this is how you can contact me, email me, call me, wake me up at 2 a.m., exploit me, you have my consent, leave animals alone. And with that, I want to give a shout out to Ben. Can you raise your hand, please? That one guy, I will take a bullet for him. I'm not joking. All of you are here in this room because of one person who took it seriously. He had other shit to do. He's the president of a chess club, and I don't know. I know that he has lots of other things on his plate. But he doesn't shut up. And every person in this university who has ever had the opportunity to question this, it's because of one person speaking up and his fellow generals. So please join. There is an ASAP group here, and please join them, get active. And if you need support, if you don't know where to start, we are here to help you. So with that, thank you, and we'll get some Q&A now. Thanks. Thank you. Ben, would you mind just coming here for a second? Yep. Yes.
Thank you all for being here. This is a big deal for me. I mean, these guys are my heroes, and you saw what an amazing talk, right? Give it up again for Dr. Caracas.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I started an ASAP chapter because of what you saw, right? We can't just sit here and take it. It's not enough to not participate in animal exploitation. We need to fight it and bring this to people's attention. And that's what I've been trying to do. And I'm so grateful that you're all here helping me accomplish this goal. And if you want to do more, we have the chapter sign up is here. Come speak to me. Come speak to any members of the team wearing the ASAP shirts. And we will help you get involved. And we will make change together.
Thank you. All right, so questions? Before you, or some other question, one second. Really appreciate all of you who gave it an open mind. I know that most of you are actually not vegan, and I'd rather talk to non-vegans because I don't need much convincing for vegans. So really appreciate that you are giving it an open mind and just gave more than an hour of your life to me. So for that, I'm wholeheartedly grateful. Any questions? Let me start with students and then come back to you. Go ahead.
So one of the problems I think facing the agricultural industry is that of deforestation. A lot of wild land is taken and repurposed towards farming for various purposes. Is there enough current world plant farming infrastructure to support the demand for, if like say the whole world wanted to go off of meat, is there enough infrastructure to make that happen? And what does that look like? Even just in terms of the United States or even at the state level, how would that work out?
All right, sorry. I want the slide, which is towards the end. Remember this thing that I showed from this? Yeah. So the question is, like, is there enough plants to feed the world? Well, think about this. 83% of calories that we are using to feed the world right now comes from a tiny 23% of all agricultural land. So a tiny fraction of that is almost feeding most of the world. And indeed, in the Western countries where meat and dairy consumption is very high, a lot of times forests have to be deforested in places like Brazil and other countries. Like a lot of Amazon forests are being deforested and cut down because they're turning them to like grazing land. And because of that, you're losing actually a lot of like space to feed the world. So the short answer is that if the world hypothetically stopped eating animals, we would have more than enough food already to feed the world. And that's why when we have animal agriculture, we actually cause global malnutrition. And then we can actually free up land and turn them back to forests, ironically. Okay, sir.
Hi. Great lecture, thanks, a lot of fun, good stuff.
Thank you.
Amazing person, we have a great time being here. Could you talk about recombinant DNA, lab grown, if you have any experience with it, or if you see it as a viable source in the future when it becomes more cost effective?
Love the question. I actually was a scientist. So I gave up my job in biopharma to work on what you just said.
And were you in Boston? Where were you working?
I work in a nonprofit called Good Food Institute. So it wasn't for selling people any products, by the way. It was just a nonprofit just because I saw that as, I still do, a very good tool for people to stop eating animals. You mentioned two things, but those are two different things. You said recombinant protein production, and you said cultivated meat or lab-grown meat. They're different things, but I explained both because they're very cool. And I'm a nerd, so you're stuck with it. Deal with it. One, cultivated meat or lab-grown meat, we don't call it lab-grown because every food is really just made in factories. And lab-grown doesn't really sound that appetizing anyways. So the idea is that you take stem cells from animals like muscle cells and fat cells, and you literally just grow meat in incubators instead of, like outside of animals. That's the whole idea. And I don't have any issues with it because my issue is not meat, it's the exploitation of animals and viewing them as resource. It's not about pain and suffering, but it's about enslaving them. But in this case, once you have the cell, which you can get it from biopsy, which is not ideal, but you never have to go back to the animal again, and you can always grow meat from it. And there are a few companies in the US that are doing that. FDA and USDA both like approved it. So that's lab-grown meat. It is expensive, but you have to understand that meat is cheap, but it's not like cheap to produce. It's our tax money and subsidies that make meat very cheap. But it is a viable option. It could be. I don't know if it will survive, but I hope it does. It will give people who will never go vegan. It's not an excuse for you guys not to go vegan because I don't know when it's going to happen. But it will give the world an option. It's a tool. Recombinant protein is when you take the DNA, like insulin right now, if you get insulin shot, we used to kill pigs and take their pancreas and get insulin from their pancreas. And it caused a lot of problems and allergy and all that. Today, we take the human DNA of insulin. Every protein has a DNA. We take that, we put it in bugs. We call them bugs, but it's basically yeast or bacteria like E. coli, a certain strain that don't cause diseases. But they then make insulin, human insulin. And guess what? You can actually do that with dairy or whey protein, right? So whey protein is basically, by the way, you can have soy protein and just be fine, but some people who get their information from TikTok really want to have whey protein. Okay, protein is a protein, comes from a DNA. You get the cow DNA that produces whey, you put it in yeast or bacteria, and suddenly they produce whey protein. It's literally, virtually identical to the animal-based, but it doesn't come from animals. It's usually labeled as animal-free. So it's not, technically it's not like vegan because it's animal products, but it's not a product of animals or animal exploitation. There is already an ice cream and whey protein that comes from that way. And I think it's fantastic because you can make things that are like egg or like dairy without actually exploiting animals. So thanks for asking that, and sorry about my long response.
It was good.
Thank you.
It wasn't long enough.
Okay. Happy to chat more. Yes.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for the very personal talk. It was just amazing. I'm really glad I came.
Thank you.
This is not the first time I've heard the argument for veganism. And I remember when I was younger, I would think about how, like, obviously we're different kinds of life forms than the animals you presented, but like we are all like we live, like we experience things, and I think that's a good argument for like why you don't want to exploit them. You want to let them live as well. But like I would also think that like plants, for example, are also a kind of life form, and I think that's like a true thing to say. But also like, you know, whether you're vegan or not, like you have to live somehow. You have to eat things to survive as a human being. So if you choose to eat plants, let's say as a vegan, do you think ever that like you're also, maybe exploit is not the right word, but like harming other life forms by eating plants? I mean, I can't think of a better option, but like, has that ever crossed your mind? And like, what's like your philosophical, moral standpoint on all that?
Yeah, I mean, ask any vegan. So thank you. It sounds like a genuine question, so I respond to it. But yes, vegans, when they talk about veganism, we have a list of 5 common questions: lions, though, plants, though. We sometimes call those people plant rights activists, because we get that a lot. But the idea is, first of all, it's not about being alive, because bacteria are also alive. But when you use hand sanitizer, you are not like, oh my God, I just murdered 1 trillion bacteria, right? So it's not just about being a form of life, but it's about sentience. Sentience means ability to feel pain and suffering and having a subjective experience of life. If you have 10 dogs, each one of the dogs will have a different personality, right? You can feed them the same way, but they will have different personalities. They will remember things, they can foresee the future, and they can solve math problems. Like chickens can actually solve basic math problems. It's crazy. But plants don't have that. Plants don't have a central nervous system. Indeed, plants' anatomy has nothing that resembles nervous system. They are alive, they communicate, they have chemical pathways. Like a fly trap, when they react to a fly is not like, oh, it looks like there is a fly in me, let me, like, yummy food. It's not like that. It's like, it's a reaction. It's like, you know, sodium, potassium channels that like get activated and suddenly a thing that closes. It's not like they don't have consciousness. And there is no reason for plant to actually feel pain, because evolutionary, the whole reason behind pain is that you, I don't know, hit your toe to the wall and it's like, oh, you know, you stupid fuck, you know, watch your foot, right? Like watch where. So that helps us to prevent harming ourselves. But with plants, there is no reason for them to feel pain, because then, you know, what are you gonna do, you know? But funny enough, as I showed you in this thing, actually, even if you thought that plants are sentient and you're a plant rights activist, you still save more plants from getting murdered by being vegan, because we need fewer plants. But obviously, that's not the case. But remember, I think, so that was the intellectual response. But I want to bring it back to reality. When you step on a grass, you don't really think that it was just like, you know, killing a dog. Stepping on a dog's foot, or like if your house is on fire and I came back and I said, hey, I went inside to rescue something and I saw your dog and your cactus and I, you know, here's your cactus. I don't think you're going to be very happy with me, right? I think we have the idea in our heart. But I would say that reminded me something else. Humans and non-human animals are different in so many other ways, right? No one says animal rights doesn't mean cows should vote. It doesn't mean we are identical in all forms and fashion. You and I are not identical. Babies and us. Babies don't make rational choices. They run in the middle of the street. As much as I don't like them, I might even rescue them. But we know that it's not really about that. It's about the fact that they're sentient and they feel pain and they can suffer. That's really enough of a reason for us to protect babies or people with, you know, who are cognitively not as capable as us, or they have disability. Even when you have a person who doesn't feel pain because of some disability, we are not like, okay, if he doesn't feel pain, let me just like eat their breast milk. We don't do that, right? That's gross. The idea of animal rights is not that we are not different than other animals, it's that the differences are not morally relevant. There is a thing called name the trade. Name the trade. Name the quality that animals don't have, that if a person didn't have, you would treat that person like the way that you treat other animals. Like if you say it's okay to kill animals because they're not smart, then I ask you, if a person is not smart, should we go and exploit them? Of course not. What is it? Is it because we had Beethoven and Bach and, I don't know, Van Gogh or whatever? Well, that's not most of us to begin with. But also, yeah, if someone is not Beethoven, should we just go and like exploit them? If someone is not able to speak a language, maybe they have some disability. Of course, it's none of them, right? So what is it that gives us the right to exploit other animals? So instead of, indeed, something, the last thing I say, every other form of injustice, when you look at it, the reason that it existed is because we focus on our differences. We said that, oh, your sexual orientation is different than mine, therefore you have fewer rights and you deserve to be killed. Oh, your skin color is different than mine. Oh, your sex is different than mine, therefore you don't get to vote. Could it be that today it's like, oh, your species is not like mine? Dogs are a lot better in hearing and smelling than us, but we pick the one that we are better at, which is our IQ or intellect. We say, that makes us a better being, and that gives us the right to kill. But in dogs' world, it could be whoever can smell better maybe is superior, right?
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much for this very powerful and moving talk. I'm sorry if this is going to be another one of those top 5.
No, don't feel bad.
What do you think about the argument that I've heard made that if we switch to completely plant-based food, there would be no need to breed animals, and therefore a lot of cattle would just go extinct?
So the question is, what would we do with these animals to exist? Because if everyone went vegan, then they will cease to exist. The answer is that these animals don't naturally exist. They all have been bred to be exploited. Indeed, just like dogs, like certain breeds of dogs, like they shouldn't exist, honestly. It's a life of torture. You look at them, they can't even breathe. That's what we did just because we like dogs. Like we thought they were cute. But for that dog, they should not exist. And the solution for that is, well, stop breeding them, stop killing them in shelters, let's take them, what is there, give them a good life as best as we can, and stop breeding them, because there's no justification. All these animals, the chickens, by the way, even if it's pasture-raised chickens, naturally lay, do you know how many eggs? Normal chickens lay about, does anyone know? About 20?
About 20 eggs.
Yeah, about 20, 25 eggs per year. That's not enough for any business.
About 20 eggs a month.
No, it's per year. The natural chickens I'm talking about. But you're right. What you're talking about is genetically manipulated chickens that they lay about 300 eggs per year. That's about what he's talking about. They should not exist. That's so demanding on their body, right? So the idea is that we shouldn't exploit animals. There is no justification to enslave these animals, bring them to existence because we want to eat them, right? They should not exist. And the world is not going to go vegan immediately. The more we make better choices, the fewer animals will be born in captivity and be exploited. Does that make sense? I'll take one other question and then there. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I guess I have 2 things, a comment and a question. So I guess like one thing, another solution to the problem that she asked was there is reversing the evolutionary process, the breeding that we've done. Like, for example, there's a guy, I think he's in Germany, he's been reverse breeding pugs so that way their snouts can be healthy again and they can live normal lives. So you could do that with other animals too. But my question is, my father, he's for all practical purposes a pescatarian, and he talks about how certain animals are not sentient enough to justify value to them. And I guess, how would you respond to that?
I would say if there are animals, they're very likely sentient, especially fish. And then when you look at it, fish actually they have central nervous system, they have brains, and they do have pain receptors that you can literally look under microscope. And their body is actually very sensitive because like you touch water somewhere, they know it far away, right? They actually recognize faces, like goldfish actually recognizes faces. and some of them actually can pass mirror tests, which is not a perfect test anyways. It would be very unlikely for fish to not be sentient. So pescatarians also usually have eggs and dairy, which is crazy, right? So it's not just fish. I would say with like bivalve and stuff like that, maybe. With insects, we are most likely confident that they are sentient, but it's still like people are still trying to gather evidence. But to me, as long as you're pretty sure that this thing, because think about it, the smaller body they get, the more of them you kill. So when people stop eating cows, but then still eat chicken, you actually kill more animals. When you go from chicken to pescatarian, so basically like fuck fish, you actually kill more and more. So 3 trillion, it's like most of it is actually just fish, right? So if you're slightly wrong, then just imagine times 3 trillion, that's very wrong, right? Insects too, so if you then go from fish to insects, it's gonna be even more animals. But we are all animals, insects are animals. And think about it, spiders are not insects, but like just that tiny little thing, it's like, there's a spider actually in that corner when I was putting my bag. It's like, I have a degree in engineering and I have no idea how they make this like spider webs. But that tiny little brain, it's like amazing. Bees, right? It's just like they're amazing individuals. They communicate in very complex ways. If you have a way of living without killing bees or spiders or anything, why not, right? That seems the most rational decision. And if he's pescatarian, he still has egg and dairy, but hopefully his son becomes vegan and becomes a very annoying son who pushes his beliefs down everyone's throat. All right? Food is there? Okay, so thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Elaine.
Are you also a classical musician? I saw you had the classical music playing at the start.
I do, yeah. Let me turn this
You
off.
play piano? Oh, sorry. Do you play piano?
Piano, organ, bagpipes.
Okay.
But my main instrument is piano, yes.
Okay. I play piano and saxophone. What's your favorite piano piece, I guess, or concerto?
Bach Piano Concerto No. 1.
Okay.
I love Bach.
Good choice. Yeah. I never got around to listening to him too much, but he is a genius.
Yeah. What do you study?
I study math.
Math?
But
So you know Ben?
Huh?
You know Ben?
Last name or?
Yeah.
No, I don't know him.
But he also studies math. So you guys need to bond.
I should introduce
Go bond.
myself.
Yeah, go.
Yeah. And I also wanted to say, hearing your history, it actually reminded me when I was 12. So I'm Pakistani.
Okay.
During Ramadan, I think I was during the summer. I went to Pakistan to visit my cousins, and there, it's very easy to get animals and then slaughter them for whatever reasons you have. And I remember actually, my mom told me to turn around, but they killed the goat in front of me, and the blood ran. And I got upset at my mom because I didn't understand why we had to go out of our way to kill it when they're already being killed in these warehouses or whatever. And yeah, I haven't thought about that memory for years now, so I just kind of got reminded that.
But you get upset, right? But it's
I do get upset, and I appreciate your answer for question. I'm not like a plant activist. It's just something I thought about when I was around that age as well. It's if I want to be vegan, what about these plants? But I think you actually give a very good argument, and it is scientifically true that they don't feel pain and stuff like that. So.
But at the end of the day, it's pretty obvious. Chopping up a potato is not like chopping up a goat, right? We already know that.
We have to live one way or another.
Yeah.
It's probably better to eat plants.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I really appreciate this.
Thank you. Are you going vegan now?
I think so. I mean, they said the baby steps thing doesn't work, but there are some vegan options on campus. I'll try to.
We are here to help. Literally, just reach out to me, connect with Ben. All you have to do, if you think that your favorite food is this and you don't like it, some vegan cheese will suck. I will tell you which brands to buy. Some never will melt.
It's going to be more effort than not doing it,
but I would say,
I think it's worth it. I will say.
Do you trust me?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Trust me, at first it feels like a very hard thing because you haven't done it.
Yeah.
After a week of being vegan and recognize,
it's
when
quick.
you go to grocery stores, you are not reading all the packages, and you just know what brand you want. It just becomes just a different brand or different color.
I have actually, it was just for fun, basically. There's a Trader Joe's close to my house. They have like mozzarella cheese made with almond milk or something like that.
You just learn where they are.
It tasted fine. I mean, so you have a point.
It's the easiest thing. Once everything, first day when you came to Binghamton, I'm sure you were a little nervous. You didn't know what you were. Now you don't even think about it, right? Literally after. But Ben is the guy holding it. Yeah.
I actually want to join Test Club too.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great.
Can we get a picture together?
Of course. Yeah. Sure.
Excuse me. Do you mind taking a picture of the soil? Let's do.
I got it.
Sure.
Oh.
Good to see you.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah. All right. Let me get iPhone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
What's your name?
Thank you so much. Imad.
Imad.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hello, I am Akshay.
Hi.
Actually, I wanted to ask, like, can I get this PPT so that I can share with
Sure.
my friends?
Yeah. Sure. You mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you vegan?
No, I'm a non-vegetarian, but I prefer vegetarian.
Yeah.
Like my family, but I avoid from my childhood only. You sure, right?
Yeah.
That's how I avoid.
How you feel? Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully now you know a lot more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you a student or faculty?
I'm a graduate student.
Graduate student. What do you study?
Computer science.
Good.
Masters.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by.
you.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you in taking this initiative to teach others how it's going on. It really takes as an empathetic and taking our time nowadays. Like we are very busy, taking our time to teach others. It's really a very great thing.
Thank you. There's nothing else I'd rather do. I'd rather die than do anything else.
Yeah.
And I know that I wish when I was in college or earlier, someone came and just like said, wake up. And I feel like that's now just my duty. Yeah. But thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Hello. Hi. Good handshake.
Thank you. Actually, you're not the first person to say that. But I really like the speech. I've done like some research, but I wrote a paper in high school for one of my teachers about like humane farming and factory-run farms and the difference. And it didn't really cross my mind that there particularly is not really a difference.
Yeah.
But I really liked it.
It's also, so there are definitely a variety of farms. Majority, 99% is factory farms to begin with. Understand that there is actually no way to take all the animals we're having in factory farms. We just wanted to give them lots of land. You'll just literally run out of place. But veganism is a lot, like it just takes it one further back. Says, why are we even like looking at chickens as egg vending machines? That like, how come we are so conditioned to look at them as egg vending machines? Whereas we would never say, one day we'll have some farms with humanely raised dogs and I'm gonna like steal their milk. Because we've been conditioned not to look at dogs as milk vending machines. We look at them as friends and family, at least in this country. So veganism really questions the way we view animals, not just let's treat them better, but still enslave them, if that makes sense.
And can I get a picture with you?
Of course, yeah. What do you study?
Huh?
What do you study?
History.
History, very well.
Can you take a picture of us, please?
What's your name?
Alex.
Alex? Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Hi, how's it going?
Nice to meet you.
Let me just
Thank you
fix
for
this.
this lecture. It was really informative, and I feel like it changed a lot of my opinions about being vegan. And actually, like a couple of days ago, my sweetmates and I were talking about it because they ran into like a couple students who were trying to convince them to be vegan, and they got very mad about it. Actually,
You were trying to convince them to go vegan?
no,
You
my sweetmates, they like ran into another student.
Oh.
Yeah, and they got like defensive about it. So I feel like if they came to this like lecture, it would have changed their mind. So are you doing like any more lectures like in the future?
This lecture actually probably, this one was live streamed, so they can go back and watch this. And if they go to my YouTube, they can actually see all of my lectures. But I actually changed this as of last night. So this version is just from today. But they can go on my YouTube and what do they study, your friend?
Nursing.
Nursing, yeah. So there are also other sources on plant-based diet for health that they can look into. But yeah, my lecture is also available on YouTube.
Okay.
They can watch it, yeah.
Yes. And
How do you
also-
feel?
Huh?
How do you feel?
I honestly think I'm gonna go vegan. I just have to figure out like what do you eat in replace of like meat for like protein? Like just soy or?
So there is soy, there is nuts and seeds. Literally every plant-based food has proteins. But legumes, like beans, like you go to Chipotle, right?
No. Well,
No,
actually,
you've been in Chipotle. I'm just saying to use it as an example. Like rice.
Yeah.
Rice has protein actually, and then you can either get tofu, full of tofu, it's concentrated protein basically, or you can get like mushrooms or potatoes even have proteins. But yeah, so legumes like lentils and beans, fantastic source of protein. Remember, food is a package. What do you study? What was your major?
Nursing.
Nursing also, great. Food is a package. So when you get your protein from meat, you're also getting saturated fat, you're also getting cholesterol, you're also getting the carcinogens. But if you change the package to something that has protein like legumes, beans, lentils, not only you get the protein, not only you're not getting saturated fat and cholesterol, but also you're getting fiber, you're getting anti-cancer compounds in that food. It literally reduces the risk of heart disease. It's like the opposite of meat, but with the same protein. But go to my colleague there with like blonde hair, ask her to give you one of the leaflets that we have about health. There are so many plant-based athletes and doctors. And the place I wanted to introduce you and your friend is called Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, PCR. Yep.
You're recording all this, right? Yeah, we have 3 different cameras.
What is it called?
So Physician Committee for Responsible Medicine. So it's like the largest committee of like plant-based doctors. They all promote plant-based doctors. Some of them are not ethical vegans, but they are still vegan because of health benefits, right? But I probably won't be like answer all of your questions right now. You are gonna think about other questions, but the only question is, okay, so you may hear something like iron. Maybe your doctor says, oh my God, your iron is low. The answer is not to go and eat meat. The question you have to ask yourself, go to ChatGPT or whatever and say, I wanna go vegan, I'm low on iron. Let's do it now. Let's say you just hear that you can't have enough iron, right? Let's just go to ChatGPT, say, I want to go vegan, but I'm low on iron and I need to eat more iron. What can I eat? So all it takes is that you just do that. Low iron does not prevent a plant-based diet, right? Many plant-based foods contain substantial iron. Legumes, lentils. Lentils are fantastic. Eat a lot of lentils, chickpeas, beans, soybeans, and tofu. But it'll probably somewhere says something about vitamin C. There you go. Eat vitamin C that increases iron absorbance.